Case 4, The Idea. School had taken on a pattern which Norman had recognized and mastered. Norman was still anchored in his home. He visited every week, Sunday dinners. His mother was, well, the plutonium catalyzing heat in his nuclear reactor of a brain. Norman's creative passion and strength as a builder, even visionary, well, as the song says, he got it from his mama. Yeah. He had not once invited friends over. Despite his devotion to her, he was, embarrassed in a way about his mom's condition, in the way that all of us with an older or ill parent have felt. But this was Norman's reality for his whole life, and over time he had become almost immune to the amazing labyrinth of robot machinery that he had built for his mom to make her life, tolerable, even easy at times. Yeah, Norman's mom had asked him repeatedly,
"Why don't you bring friends?"
And Norman always demurred. But then, perhaps feeling the frailty of his mom's condition, not knowing how long she'd be alive, well, he just didn't. Well, one day, Norman nodded, and his mom just said,
"It's time."
So one Sunday, Norman invited Tiffany over to his home, about 3 miles from campus. They walked from the curb to the front door, and Tiffany stood in awe. There was the lift that brings Mom into the house from the front yard, the guest drink getter, the iRobot cleaning the floor, and a whole bunch of other stuff that's really cool here. So check all these things out. This is all the stuff Tiffany saw when she came to Norm's front door. All right, well, they sat at the dinner table, and the guest drink getter's larger cousin, the meal deliverer, brought in dinner. Tiffany asked,
"Who made this? How did you make this?"
Norman just intoned that, he loved Chef Ramsay. And then he took a deep breath and said,
"So, what do you think?"
How much did all of this cost?
Well, Norman walked her through the component parts, noting that, it wasn't all that expensive. The shoulder joint here cost about $1,200. The side flip thing here was about $5,000. And the other things here and here and here and here were about $3,000 in total. Well, he had been able to scavenge and salvage parts from the few hundred robot competitions he had entered to make all of this for a shockingly inexpensive price. Well, Tiffany's brain was processing, and she stood there silent for almost 5 minutes. Norman was wondering if he had embarrassed himself, his mother, if all of this had been some colossal mistake. As Tiffany just observed, the motions were rote. The robot moves are all the same. Same, same, same. Turn here, up, down there, swivel here.
It's all the same parts, just different diameter servo motors, rotors, and diagnostic tools. It's just Lego parts.
Tiff stood frozen another moment. But then Tiffany, one of the least emotional people Norman had ever met, literally ran up to him, hugged him, and just whispered in his ear,
"We are partners. I will get funding. Someday we will take this company public."
Well, Norman could feel Tiff's energy reflecting his nuclear reactor of a brain, now inside Tiffany as well. Norman realized Tiffany's emotional driver as well. If his company worked, if their company worked, she would then have the resources to ensure that her mother and siblings were secure financially, ideally with the rest of her family brought over from China to America, and that her relatives didn't perish in the bleak poverty her grandmother had endured as a subsistence farmer in the countryside there. Yeah, not pretty, not a good sight. Okay, well, Norman observed keenly that Tiff was very comfortable playing the role of the tip of the spear. She feared nothing. Norman had built the core kernel of the product. Tiff was more than ready to spring into action. She needed to get this company funded, and she would.